Oh, you're gonna use a heat gun.
Oh no.
Hi everyone, how are you all doing today?
Good. Good.
Awesome. We're gonna get started here in a couple minutes. I'm just getting a head start to get our prototype going so I can show you what we're making today.
Mhm.
Do we even have that?
Nice.
What's that?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, this is Keegan here. Are we making a solar necklace?
No, we are making the pennant flag today.
Okay.
So you're gonna need your Smart Fab fabric.
Fabric.
Can you turn down your volume?
Rainbow.
So we're gonna need our smart fabric. We're gonna need our conductive thread. You're gonna need conductive thread, special thread that is in your pack for conductivity.
Well, I see. And what about the rainbow LED?
Yep, you're gonna want your rainbow LEDs. You're gonna need your coin cell battery holder, which looks like this. And if you look at it, you can see near these holes a plus sign there and then a minus sign down here. Do you all see that? Do you all see the plus and minus sign?
Mhm.
You know what that means? Does anyone know what the plus and minus sign means?
Something to do with positive and negative things.
Yeah, positive and negative. So it's electricity. And electricity runs from positive through on this one back to positive. And so on these little LEDs that are in here, on each one of those components, let me show you one up close. You can see a positive and negative on it. Do you see that? Do you see the positive and negative?
Yep.
So you have to match the negative, this one, to the negative on this one.
Huh.
All right, and we use this conductive thread to sew it. So what you've got to do first is come up with the design. And I decided I'm gonna make a 4-H clover. You can see that here, my little design. And you might need an adult to help you because once you come up with the design, you have to lay out a pattern for your LEDs and your coin cell battery holder. And as you can notice in my design here, let me see here. Can you see where I have the positive here near the positive here and the positive here near the positive there? And then I have negative here, and I'm gonna bring that line up to this negative. And then I'm gonna sew this negative around to there. And we're gonna bring the negative to here, and around to this side. And then I'm gonna sew from positive to positive and positive to positive. So I drew these little lines on here. Those are my sew lines. That's where I'm gonna be sewing. All right? Does that make sense?
Confusing and hard.
It's a little confusing and hard. All right? So we can help you get through it. We're gonna help you. First thing you need to do is choose some sort of a picture that you would like to put on your flag, on your pennant flag, all right? So Zane, do you want to show the picture you're doing?
I am doing bison off the Wyoming flag, although it'll be reversed. So I'm cutting that out with gray fabric.
I kind of have a problem. So those little, like, they're like, kind of like this, except bigger. Yeah, I don't have them. Yeah, I have that. I have those. I have that. I have that, yeah.
Hey, Jane, we can't hear you.
Yeah, that helps.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, all you need are your LEDs, your thread, your coin cell battery holder, and your needle, and your fabric today.
I'm not good at sewing, that's the problem.
Well, you're gonna be good at sewing by the time you're done with this project. Learning to make is all about learning to do new things. So in your packet, you should have something like this, but you could also choose to make something else. I decided to make the design of the 4-H on my fabric, which is what I drew on here. You can see that.
I don't have the 4-H picture thing.
You should have one in your folder somewhere.
I don't. I can't find it.
Well, if you don't have one, you can use a picture of something else that you like. Zane has made a picture of a buffalo that he's going to use for his.
I can't find the thread thing.
Oh, I've got it here.
No, it's not that. It's
Oh,
different.
Which thread?
It's another thread.
The conductive thread, this little thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
A little spool?
You
Yeah.
have a little spool with
Oh,
the thread
here
in
it
your
is.
kit. Yeah.
I got
We
it.
found it.
Awesome. So I'm going to show you, once you get your string through your needle, I always start my string like this, and then I have just a little, I'm not going to tie a knot there or anything, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my string here while I'm sewing and leave that little tail there. And I'm going to show you all how to make your initial knot. In your thread. All right. So the way that I like to start this is I like to come down through the fabric first, right next to the hole, and then I go right up through this hole right here. And I'm gonna pull it through, but I'm not gonna pull it through all the way. See that little tail? I'm gonna put my finger on that tail. And then I'm gonna run my needle under the tail and then through the loop. Now I've created this loop here, and I'm gonna go through the loop, under the tail and through the loop to make a little knot back on to this hole. Now, the important thing about sewing with e-textiles are that you need to make sure that you sew and get a good connection around this component. You want this metal thread to touch the metal around the component. I'm going to go under the tail again and through the hole that made this loop and pull that knot in. Sometimes this thread gets a little stuck and you have to be careful not to let it knot. Ooh, that's not working. I'm going to start over on that.
Hey, Jane, how much thread do you have to work with? Is it like a foot or so?
It's about 18 inches to 20 inches. I wouldn't go beyond 20 inches. Smaller is better. This thread, since it is stranded metal, stranded steel, it can kind of bind up and get knotty on you. So sometimes you can just make this into another knot right here. For your starting knot, okay? Get that tied down tight. Now it's important after you start it that you want to trim this tail off. One of the things that happens with these, since they are circuits, are these tails can short out other areas. So if you're sewing on the positive has to be sewn to the other positives, and it can't touch the negative wires. So if this randomly just went around, it would touch potentially a piece of negative and then cause a short circuit for my circuit. So I don't want that to happen. So now I've got this nice wire connected. I'm going to rethread my needle again. Leave a little bit of space at the end of my needle. And I'm going to go around this component a few times here just to make sure that it's solidly connected. So down through the fabric, up through the hole.
Dad, I need a lot of help on this one.
Down next to the hole.
Do you have to do a design, or can you just like make it?
You don't have to do a design, but you need to make it lay out a circuit.
怎么sew?
You have to like positive,
Oh.
positive, negative with a negative.
So you never know how to sew?
No, I don't know.
You have to run.
Say, Jane,
Down next to the hole.
I missed some of the introduction. And if I understand right, so you put the battery powered thing in the middle, and then you do a couple loops on one of the corners.
Yep.
And that looks like what you're doing right now.
Yep.
And then you loop over to the positive, or from a positive to a positive.
Yep.
On one of the little things, and do a couple loops there.
Yep. And I'm going to sew it the same positive up to this positive as well. So this positive here will go to that positive on that LED and this positive on that LED. Can you see the little line I drew there?
Oh, I see.
That's going to be my sew line. And this is going to be like a couple stitches over to there. And then that's it. And then I'm going to terminate that. Or I could sew
How
over to
long-
this
how long
one
the
and
line
then
you need?
continue over to here, which is
Is it
probably
18 to
actually
20
what I'll do.
inch?
So I logged in late. What are we doing?
We're making our pennant flags today. So we're going to be working with our smart fabric and our e-textile components, which are the LEDs, the conductive thread, our sewing needle.
Do you take like this little like square thing, like the little purple thing, and put the battery in it?
Yeah, don't put the battery in it until you're done sewing your circuit,
to
though,
sew it?
'cause you will short circuit out while
But
you're
which
sewing.
one to go in first?
It could be any, but it has to be positive with positive.
I don't know.
So
But-
one of the things that helps is if you lay out your LEDs, and you can copy this design. So I have my 2 positives right here and my 2 negatives here. And then I have my positive LEDs here facing down so that on the inside I can sew that up. And then I have my negatives here so I can sew from the negative to the negative and then connect the negative from here out to those negatives. So it's best if you lay out your circuit first. We can look at your circuit, then you can glue the bottom of your components very carefully. Make sure not to get any glue on these back sides of these components where the metal is, or you will block the conductivity of your component. So just the smallest little dab of hot glue on the back to keep them in place, and then they're easier to sew.
All right.
So I'm
So how am I gonna glue this carefully?
Ask an adult to help you.
Do you have to use
We can't do this.
piece of thread for all the holes?
On the center thing.
Yeah, you have to use conductive thread for all of the
Is it
components
conductive thread?
Yep, those are.
that are going to be connected for electricity. This is basically like a wire. This thread is made of stranded steel, so it can run a voltage electrical component.
Oh, I see. I have to go opposite.
Should we glue it on first?
I'm gonna have to do this later with my parents because my sister doesn't understand this and I don't either, so.
Okay, well, do you want to stay and watch while we do it so that you'll better understand it?
Sure.
Okay. Like I would still, want you to participate and learn. So see how I'm going around and around
Clean each other.
components?
Yeah.
I want to go around each
Sorry,
component
clean
here
job.
3 times. And then now I'm going to sew up from this component up to the next component on that side. And I'm following this little line here that I drew for myself. Oops. I lost my thread. Sometimes your thread comes out when it gets frayed at the end. You just snip that off. And then it's easier to put through your needle. All right, I'm going to
Hey,
continue.
Jane, could you pause a moment?
Yeah,
This is going kind of fast for us too. And we're
Okay.
just getting caught up. I don't know if you can take a look at, can you see that? The color is really pretty bad. Just a second. The light is pretty bad. There it is. So
okay.
we've got this sewn down on one corner. And then we've done a loop on the positive here, from positive to positive. And then we've
Okay.
sewn across over to here
Jada.
to a positive. And we'll do
Okay,
a couple of loops. And then we'll cut that off. And then
Ah,
we'll
it's
do
a
some
simple
negatives.
cleanup.
Yep, so just make sure your positives and negatives don't cross each other.
Right, okay. Now, the question I had
Wait.
was, I didn't catch what you were saying about the hot glue. What are we gluing?
So you can glue on your components. So I glued my components on before I sewed them so that they
So you
would
have to glue
stay
it.
in position. And then I drew the
Yeah,
line
otherwise how I can sew?
for the components so that I knew that I was sewing from
Just a little
positive
bit,
to
don't touch
positive
any
and I had
metal,
a
just
path
glue.
to follow.
So
Okay.
Yeah. And it seems like the kids enjoy that better to sew along a path.
That's a good thought.
So if
Yeah.
you can
Don't glue on those
draw that
places.
path out
These places
for
okay.
him
Plastic
from
places.
positive to positive and negative to negative and make sure none of those paths cross, then that would be probably the best experience.
Positive to positive,
Yep.
Yep.
negative to negative.
That.
You glue the center one first.
This steel thread is
But
really
I would make sure you have
Well,
your
the thing
root
is about this one, it glues a
designed
little bit
before you're
bigger than
gluing your
Just a little
component.
bit.
Have your
As long as it stays
sew thread
where it
root
belongs.
designed before you glue your component.
This steel thread really is tricky.
It is a little tricky.
What'd you say?
All right, so now I've gotten this sewn all the way up my little path here, and I'm about to come out right here next to my component. And then I'm gonna go down through the hole.
You have to go 3 times.
3 times around. You really need to have a solid connection on the component with the wire or else it won't light that LED. And it could flicker later and kind of short out and not fully illuminate your LED if there's not a good connection.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so then we'll go again. I'm gonna go up next to my hole.
Why? Because she's trying to
And down through the hole.
How to? Have you glued it?
The glue is just gonna come out too much.
Yeah, Dad, you might have to help him glue it. It's really hard to glue, and if you get too much glue on the components near the holes, then it won't conduct electricity. So it's got to be a very, very small amount of glue.
I don't know how. I have extras, but bro, they have to get broke.
Yeah, just break your LEDs apart. It's not going to hurt them.
Yeah, it has to heat up or it won't work.
All right. Now I'll show you all a trick on how to finish this.
Then this negative sign with the negative sign.
So when you get
This?
to a component and you're just about done, one trick that I found for completing is just like the other.
Down.
Go under the stitch that you made, and then you can pull it through your hole, and it'll make a little knot there.
And you have to match the negative with that negative.
This way?
Uh-huh.
Okay, now
And then the positive with the positive and the positive with the positive.
How's everyone doing out there?
positive.
We need some help. So I'm going to make one more pass through and make another knot here on this. So under that stitch. And
Jane,
Okay.
Yeah,
can you show the back of the fabric, please, or the whatever that's called?
absolutely.
E-textile.
Yep, let me just cut my thread. Once you get your knot, you can cut it really close so you don't have a stringer that will short circuit the other circuits. All right, so I've got that circuit completed. I sewed from positive to positive to positive on this side. And then here's the back of my fabric. Can you see?
They don't cross at all.
They do not cross.
Okay.
Oh, with the
Mommy, so
Only the positives
Yeah.
can all touch,
I
but
just
the,
want to make it like a
they
square.
can't touch with the negatives. So this negative line, you can see how I have the line going from the negative around up to this negative and then outside to that negative. And that's why I
This
placed
is,
most of it on the
positive.
side like that.
positive to where?
Well, that's supposed to be negative to this.
But this positive connects to where?
It's well, the top ones are supposed to connect with these two.
No, what about the outside?
What?
The outside, the
Can you
positive
show us
goes
the
to where?
positive to positive to positive again, the side that you have done.
Yeah, so this positive here went to
Yeah.
this positive on the LED, and then I sewed right from the positive on the LED up to this positive on this LED.
And then you cut your
And this
thread
goes
after
here.
that.
Yep, different thread for the negative, a brand new thread, which I just threaded up here. And now I'm gonna sew it from here to here, and then from here to there.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
show me the negative path. Sorry, negative is the
Negative goes from here
to
to
there.
there, and
Yep.
then to there.
Yes.
Oh, I get it. I was like positive to here.
Thank you.
and then
Yeah.
this.
So this positive goes to where?
Do you need some help, Jaden and Jaden's dad?
Yeah.
Do you want to tilt down your thing so I can see your project?
So we have this one here, positive. So I start sewing the positive on the right bottom. I don't know where to go. This positive should be.
Okay, so you need to connect the positive to the positive on the big coin cell in the middle. So
Okay.
if you look at mine here, let's see here, where's mine? All right, this positive here goes to the positive on the LED, and then I can sew right from that LED positive to this other LED positive from that coin.
So all the positive connected from the small to the big coin, right?
Yep, and then on this side, I'm gonna do a different string, and I'm gonna sew from this positive up this line to this positive, and over from this positive to that positive. So these three positives are gonna connect right here. And then I'll sew from the negative out to the negative and around to the negative. And so as long as you connect and sew from the negative on the coin cell holder to the negative of the LED without touching or getting close to the positive line, you should be fine. You just don't want those to cross in any way.
So the thread is, when I thread is above, right?
What do you mean above? It's going through the fabric. So on the other side, I'm going through. This is the back side of my project, and I have stitches going through on the back side. See that?
Going through. I know it's going through, but I started actually sewing from bottom, so the needle comes out at the top. So if I'm going to connect it to the other one, the thread is going to be above, right?
I don't understand what you mean above.
Okay, I mean above the surface. So you see when I'm threading, so I'm going down, the thread comes out.
Yep.
All right, and the thread, if I'm finding the big hole, the big coin hole here, positive one goes in, the thread is going to be left on top.
Yeah, but you don't want to leave a lot of thread. You want to make several stitches to get there. So like when I travel like from here, stitching from this component to this component, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Oh, underneath.
7, 8 holes. So I'm going down and up and down and
Okay.
up, down and up,
So
and
you
I'm
go
making
down.
stitches there.
So you have to sew down.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, you can't just leave it loose on the top, or else it could float around and connect with other pieces.
Okay.
But if you draw the lines for Jaden to sew from positive to positive to positive and negative to negative to negative, he should be able to hopefully help sew that. He might need some help with the needle and thread, but that's a part of learning to sew, is learning to handle your needle and thread, right?
Okay. Okay, now, so here we don't want it to get through, so we want to make another knot. Bigger. Okay, so now cannot pull it out. Then you want to go up down to the negative, right?
Or
And then goes in negative. Okay. So negative to negative, and then go to directly to this negative, right? So we have to go here, up, down.
And make sure you're going around each component 3 times, okay? It's really important to build up that connection by having a solid connection around the component of the stranded metal thread touching the metal of your LED or your battery holder.
Okay. Go down. It's negative.
to that negative.
Yeah. How's everyone doing? Anyone need help?
Then you can go to this negative and going up
And then down.
and going down.
And then here I'm going to continue on and go around and around 3 times.
And going up. And going down. You can do it up and down. So yeah, going down, pull. 来，继续啦。哎，哎，好 ，keep it straight。好，好。
Make
I'm
sure
going
your
up.
thread is tight around your components, those
Yeah.
holes.
Pull all the way. Mm.
You really
Oh,
want to
that's
make
down
sure
the
that
hole.
it's not getting tangled in the back on your underside as well. So you want to make sure that each time you're pulling your thread all the way through to make sure you're using up all that excess.
Okay. So all the negatives are connected here, and then we have to cut it,
Cut it.
right?
Okay.
So it's easier tangled here. See, everything's straight. Okay, go. And we have to make.
Does anyone need help?
It's tangled.
你刚刚没拉直啦，没有拉直。Tangled here.
Make your knot, go under your stitch, through the loop, pull it tight. All right. I've got 1/2 of my side done. So once you get 1/2 done, you can test it. Since I've got a positive and a negative of one side of my coin cell battery, I can test it to see if I did a good job sewing. Now, sometimes you have to fix your stitches a little bit if you didn't do them tight enough.
I'm positive.
You want to make sure when you turn it on that at first it's off while you're sticking in the battery.
Positive to positive.
My battery goes in with the plus on the battery facing up towards the plus on the top side of this coin cell battery holder. Insert the battery and turn it on. Oh, see how it flickered? I have a little bit of a short connection there. I needed to be a little bit tighter, but it does work. So now I'm going to want to turn off my battery, take out my battery so I don't drain my battery on accident. And now I can sew the other side of my circuit. So I'll turn that off, remove my battery. And I can start sewing this side. How are y'all doing? Does anyone need help? Isaiah and Madison, how are you all doing? Are you all getting this? Haven't heard from Isaiah and Madison yet. If they're understanding the project.
To now positive to positive, right?
Okay.
Positive, 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 and positive. 可以从这里开始。
So we go there to there.
Keegan, are you still watching?
Positive.
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Are you getting an understanding better of it?
A little bit.
Okay. I'm going to start sewing again on this other side. So I'll show you how that goes. I got a little piece of thread, not very big. Get my little tail. Go under the tail. through the hoop.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Well, that's bad.
Uh-oh.
Did you get both of your negative and positive sewn?
Let's do it again.
But the back
Oh,
is
it's all
tangled now.
ripped.
But
Yeah.
now the back is tangled now.
Yeah, keep it straight, otherwise.
Oh.
Okay, go. Yeah. Yeah, the thread is not straight enough. Easily got tangled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you really got to make sure that it doesn't get tangled or it will affect the condition of it. It won't work. So it can't be tangled between positive and negative for sure. And you have to have tight stitches around the component hole. And a lot of patience.
Throw this away. These are not useful. So.
So this one, I'm gonna sew around this component, then I'm sewing to here, and then I'm sewing to there. So. Down through the hole. Up next to the hole. Down through the hole. Jaden, are you guys fixing your problem?
Yeah, we have problem with the thread. The thread just keep tangling.
Yeah.
So try to spread out those circuits a little bit, those negative and positive areas, and maybe try using smaller pieces of thread.
Yeah, I think the needle is too big.
Do you have access to a smaller needle?
Yeah, I had to find it. Let me see.
I think we do have a small needle.
Yeah, it's I have to find it. Let's see. Okay, now works better.
You fixed it.
Oh wow. Oh yeah.
It's hard. Sometimes you have to finagle these. Even mine was almost shorting out. And part of it is this fabric isn't very thick, so it's a little bit more flimsy fabric. So you could try to sew it on a piece of felt or cotton if you had something else, if you wanted to change your fabric.
So now we can keep going to the positive.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do one by one. Oh.
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 Wait, it's got inside. No, there.
Hey, Jane, this is
Yeah?
Cole and Jasper, and we wanted to give you an update.
Yeah.
We have successfully completed part of the project.
Awesome. Let's check it out.
Okay.
Oh, great. You guys got half of it done. That's
Yes, we
awesome.
have happened. So you can see here, we've got those two connected, and this one is connected to, it's a negative. It's connected to one of the negatives.
Okay.
So we need to do another positive around to the
We
positive.
got positive and negative on, which one is this?
So yeah, we're doing well.
That looks really good. That looks like it's working well. Awesome. How are everyone else doing? How are Isaiah and Madison doing? And Let's see. How about Jonathan? How are you doing, Jonathan?
Leg.
What?
Leg.
Bleg?
It helps that I have a textiles degree.
Oh, awesome, Mom. That it does help.
I don't know, I don't know anything about circuits, but
Well, you know what? You'll learn right along with them all about circuits. It's pretty easy.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Let me know if you all need any more help. We're here to help you.
So now all the positive are connected, right?
Except for that one.
Oh, okay. We can come back here. Okay.
And then we need to tie it and cut it. Cut it.
All right. I'm almost done with my positive on my second side. One more securing knot here.
Positive. So we need a negative, negative, and which this negative.
Isn't it close to that negative?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Negative, negative. 然后那个这个 negative， 对吧？还有这个 negative， 是不是？
Aren't those negatives already connected though?
Which one?
Aren't these two already connected? These two negative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then these two. Yeah. So we need to just connect this negative to
That negative?
negative, and that's done.
Oh no. That's the glow.
Want me to help you and take a look?
Yeah. So we've done all the positive. I think I'm just missing a negative to negative. That's only one connection we need.
Okay. And then, so hold on, hold it closer for me, even closer. See if I
Okay.
can get in and see the positive and negative there. So, boy, I am confused.
Okay, let me do another way. Switch camera. Okay.
There we go. Okay. So I see.
Flat.
Okay. I see negative. So it looks like this negative is going to a positive on the LED though.
Negative going to positive.
Yeah, okay, so put your camera back.
Okay.
All right, and this negative on the bottom, there on the bottom side here, there's a negative and a positive.
Yeah.
And that negative, that LED you're pointing at, which side is the negative?
Up.
Up is the negative? Okay.
Yeah.
And bottom is the positive? Okay, so
Yeah.
you've got that right, positive to positive. Okay, but you've got this positive here running back under to this other positive, I see. Okay, well, hopefully that'll be fine. And then negative here, negative, negative, negative. So then take that negative line and you're gonna have to do a big circle around to go to those other negatives on the other side.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the only one missing, right?
That's the only way, yeah. So you just have to connect that negative, but make sure it doesn't connect with any of those positives. So just do a big loop around one of the sides.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyone else need help?
So that one.
How are Reese and Zane doing?
I'm doing well. I'm spending a lot of time on my guy. I can't really show him very well. Glue all this guy together, and then I will be ready to start sewing my stuff.
Wait, what about this string?
Slow. Now we just need to go to the
A
negative.
huge loop around to connect to these. Wait.
This negative to this negative to this negative to this
Yeah.
negative, right?
Mm-hmm. All four negatives.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
Then that thing has to go here.
All the way to here. No, hold.
Okay, we got it to work.
Jane? We can't hear you.
Doesn't say anything.
That looks great. So you got half of it to work?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. So the basics of these e-textiles are really simple. You just make sure all your positive connections touch on positive, and you can add more and more and more positives and more and more and more negatives as long as they don't cross. So I know you guys only have sewn on 4 LEDs right now, but if you wanted to add to your pennant flag later, you could add a couple more LEDs just by sewing on a couple more components. You just have to make sure that those wires don't cross.
Okay, then I have to do a knot and cut it.
Now you can, when you're finished sewing with this, you can decorate it by adding more shapes and colors to it, cutting out more designs from your other fabric that's left over.
Battery lah. No, add battery.
Do we need a battery to add on?
Yeah. See?
Oh, that's a battery.
Yep, the battery gives it the electricity. And notice the battery has a plus on it, and you want that plus to be up.
Yeah,
when you
this
put
one.
it into your battery holder, because the top of the battery holder has a plus on the top, indicating that the plus goes up in that.
And then you want a LED. Where's the LED? Oh, on,
Nothing.
off, nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, we tried.
it doesn't light up.
So I think that you might want to double check some of your components, like where you had them running. Just double check there's no crossing of the wires.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
At the
Any
back is all
extra-
crossed.
Oh.
Well, maybe. It's hard for me to tell from here, but you can take out all that sewing and try it again if you need to.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But you can probably figure out where it's shorting at and fix that area too.
It's bad sewing.
Yeah. I think we tried sewing at my school, and
Yeah, I have to cut all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I think it's the bad sewing. You know, I think it's messed up.
Well, and part of it is the smaller stitches you do, the better, versus longer, bigger ones are harder to sew, or leave more room for it to move and then have a short circuit.
Negative, 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 negative. Yeah, I think all those
It's just those.
tangle, you know, they're not straight.
Well, we've got time. You still have a whole nother hour to fix it.
Wait, what? Well, what time is it right now?
You can change another sheet. I think use another sheet. Yeah, I think we need to use a smaller needle. This needle is too big.
But how are you supposed to get those things off the glue, though?
Just tear. Do you still have those in me? Four of those?
No, they only gave us 6.
Oh, so 2.
I
Right,
think
these are 2.
7 total LEDs.
Oh.
And check and make sure you don't have any glue on near your the holes of the connections for the components. That could interfere with the wire connecting. So I finally got my circuit totally sewn here. I'm gonna see if it works. Oh, I gotta put in the battery. There we go. All right.
Wow.
It worked. Oh, but see how it's not quite working on that side? It keeps flashing on and off. And that's because this is not a very solid connection right there. See that? How it's a little loose? That's what's causing that. So I could run a little bit more wire. I could run a new one just from here to here and try to make it tighter to see if it could fix it. That's what I'll have to do. So even I have problems, and it's hard to make it work all the time.
Okay. I think that's going to be your project after dinner. Okay. I think we need a new sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.你去把那上面的对 clean 一下。
I'm going to sew another line right on top of my old line and hope that I can just make a little bit more secure connection here.
needle.
No. I thought I said we need a smaller one.
Yeah. 在这里。小针。我沉进去了。是不是？对。
All right, that fixed it. So with a pennant flag, you can have it hang a couple different ways. You can put your dowel in up at the top to hang it like this, or you could also hang it like this. I'm gonna hang mine on the side. Or maybe on this side. Yep, I think I'll do that side. You want to put your hot glue onto your dowel. And I like to run for a pennant flag, the fabric, the dowel along the whole edge of that fabric so that it won't like flop over at the end. Then you can place another little droplets here, and then you can roll that and it'll stick to all sides and kind of make a secured little. This, shove that over so it sticks. And even do one more along this last roll here to really make sure it's going to all stick together when you roll it. Let that dry for a second before I pick it up. And flip this over and think about some pom-poms I want to put on here. I think some green pom-poms would look good with my 4H overlay here. So you can put some stuff, oops, directly on and design up. Some sort of pattern. You can also cut some other pieces of fabric out. And decide to add some complementary pieces and designs. I'm going to cut this in half first. I'm going to cut strips, and I'm going to use the strips to write my name. And put it on my flag. I'm going to make a J. So I have to make that fold first. And an A. then an N. And my E.
Jane, this is Jasper. We got it all done. 4 months.
Awesome. Oh, wow, that's great. I like it. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, now you can go on to decorating your flag, like what I'm doing, and customize it. You can cut out letters or cut out more shapes or images, whatever you'd like. Well, I've got mine. It says now Jane, and now my stick is dried. So now you can decorate it any way you like. I'm going to add some more pom-poms to my design here. You can kind of cover up your glue marks. My little glue, this fabric kind of almost melts with some of the glue stuff. Giant fuzzy one just because it's cool. Right there. How are you all doing out there? Yeah? How much more time do you all want to finish this project so that before we do a show and tell? 20 minutes from Isaiah and Madison? How's 20 minutes sound for everybody? Jonathan, Jaden, what do you guys think about 20 minutes?
Could we did half of it
So we're gonna do the other half later. We have to go.
Okay, no worries. Thank you for do you want to show us your half that you got done before you leave?
Sure.
Were you able to get it to light up? Oh, yay! Awesome. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have fun finishing your project.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right, we'll convene here in about 20 minutes. I'll leave the view on for my machine on my pennant flag, so it helps you guys get some ideas. I'm going to clean up my mess. Oh yeah, have you guys checked out your terrariums lately? Our terrariums here are still growing. How are your terrariums doing?
I have to go. Okay.
Oh. Oh, I was on mute. He couldn't hear me. Darn it. Show us your project before you leave, guys.
Hey, it's mine.
We aren't able to show our project because we now have to start it all the way back to scratch.
Okay, well, you can show it later, next time. Oh, nice, Zane.
It's even got little mountains.
I like it. Good design. How about you, Isaiah? How are you doing? You want to unmute yourself and remove your background and show us your project?
Okay, I'll try. It isn't complete yet, so.
Okay.
I didn't really follow the instructions, so there's lava glue everywhere.
Will you move your background so we can see it?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay, you ready to see my abomination of nature?
Yeah.
So, get the bell stuck to my thing again. So, here is the side with all the electronic bits on it.
Nice.
And then I'm going to like redraw it on this side.
Oh, okay. To finish it?
Yeah, because all my lights are facing this way.
Okay.
On upside down by accident.
Hey, it glows through this fabric pretty well, so that would work.
Yeah, I got my green light. I got one of my lights seem to light up so far.
That's awesome. How about you, Madison?
I've gotten 2 of my lights to, light up. I'm going to work on it a little bit and like soon. I'm just gonna, wait for a second or 2.
Well, maybe what we can do is Isaiah, Madison, Jaden, and since a couple other kids needed help, maybe we can have a show and tell next week. And we can show and tell at the beginning of our session next week before we start our project. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Okay. Does that sound good to you, Jaden? Okay. All right. Well, we'll do a show and tell next week when we come back right before our session. That way anyone who needs time to finish has that time to finish. Next week, we're going to make our leather keychains. Okay? All right. So next week is leather keychain. And then the week after that is going to be our solar necklaces. And you all are going to need to find sunscreen at your house for the solar necklace project. So just think about that. If you have some sunscreen around, it's pretty fun to play with those beads with some sunscreen. Anyway, all right. You all have a good evening. You have any last questions before we sign off? No? Okay. Bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.